It was supposed to be the age of French domination. Louis XIV, the Sun King, had turned Europe into his chessboard. Every move he made reshaped the map. His armies were undefeated, his pride untouchable, and his ambition endless. Europe was breaking, nation by nation, crushed beneath the weight of French power, but one man refused to kneel: John Churchill, the Duke of Marlborough, a name soon to echo across history as the man who broke the myth of French invincibility. The War of the Spanish Succession rages. France and its allies seem unstoppable. Vienna trembles. The Holy Roman Empire is on the brink of collapse. If Vienna falls, France wins. Europe falls with it. And somewhere in the middle of this chaos, Marlborough makes a promise. A promise that he will stop Louis XIV's dream of domination, no matter the cost. He marches across Europe in a move so bold it borders on madness. Hundreds of miles through enemy territory, deceiving spies, dodging ambushes. Every step a gamble, every mile a message to the world. Britain has arrived. The French believe they have him cornered. They believe the Allies are divided, weak and slow. But Marlborough is already thinking 10 moves ahead. August 13th, 1704. The fields near the village of Blenheim, beside the Danube River. The day begins quietly. The air is heavy. Two great armies face each other. 60,000 Allied troops against 56,000 French and Bavarians. But behind the silence, there's a storm waiting to explode. The French commanders, Tallard and Marsin, are confident. They have the numbers, the ground and the Sun King's blessing. But Marlborough sees something they don't, a weakness hidden in their confidence. At dawn, he strikes. No hesitation, no waiting. The battle begins with thunder. Cannon fire shakes the fields. Muskets crack through the smoke. The French left flank is hit first, and chaos ripples across their lines. The Allies charge, pushing through fire and mud, the Danube glinting red behind them. Tallard believes Marlborough is throwing everything at the village of Blenheim. He's wrong. It's a trap, a deadly illusion. Marlborough pins the French inside the village, then silently shifts his center. He's cutting their army in half. The French, realizing too late, scramble to react. But it's already done. Their lines are breaking, and yet the fight isn't easy. The casualties mount, thousands fall. The smell of gunpowder and blood thickens the air. Every inch of ground is paid for in lives. But Marlborough refuses to yield. His plan depends on perfect timing, on every man holding their ground just long enough. By midday, the sun blazes overhead. The French realize their retreat is blocked. The Danube stands behind them like a wall. Marlborough orders the final push. His cavalry, exhausted but unbroken, charges forward. Sabers flash. Horses crash into enemy lines. The French center collapses. Panic erupts. Soldiers drown in the river trying to escape. Tallard himself is captured, dragged from the battlefield. The Sun King's invincible army destroyed. But this battle isn't just a victory. It's a message carved in blood. For years, Louis XIV had believed his will was law, his armies untouchable. Blenheim shatters that illusion. In one day, the myth dies. As night falls, the fields are silent again. Thousands lie where they fell. The Danube runs dark. Marlborough rides among his men, exhausted, his face streaked with sweat and ash. He knows what they've done isn't just military genius, it's salvation. Vienna is safe. Europe breathes again. But the cost is staggering. 20,000 French and Bavarian soldiers dead or captured. The entire French plan for domination obliterated. And for Marlborough, it is both triumph and warning. The world will remember him as the man who stopped Louis XIV. But he knows power is fleeting. Alliance is fragile, and glory always stained with loss. Still, Blenheim changes everything. The English army, once seen as inexperienced, now commands respect across Europe. Britain's rise as a world power begins here, on this blood-soaked field beside the Danube. In Paris, when word reaches Louis XIV, the Sun King is silent. The man who believed he was untouchable has just been humbled. And across Europe, nations that once bowed to France begin to stand. Blenheim is more than a victory. It's a turning point. A reminder that arrogance always meets its reckoning. That strategy can crush strength. That one man's brilliance can rewrite the destiny of nations. And in the centuries to come, historians will study Marlborough's tactics, the feint, the deception, the precision. They'll call it genius. But at its core, Blenheim wasn't just about tactics. It was about will. The will to endure when outnumbered, the will to defy an empire, the will to fight for a world that refused to kneel. Imagine being there. The roar of muskets, the thunder of hooves, the sky dark with smoke. Thousands of men locked in chaos, not for land or gold, but for survival. The future of Europe balanced on the edge of a sword. And in that storm, one man's calm turns the tide. Marlborough doesn't shout, he doesn't break. He simply moves his pieces, one after another, until the board is his. When the smoke clears, the French army ceases to exist. Their pride, their power, their illusion, gone. For the first time in decades, Louis XIV is forced to confront the reality that his empire can bleed. The Battle of Blenheim proves that no empire, no matter how powerful, is invincible. It shows how intelligence can defeat arrogance and how one victory can reshape the fate of continents. And long after the cannons fall silent, one truth remains. History isn't written by those who boast. It's written by those who dare. The world would never be the same. Blenheim was more than a battle. It was the day Europe refused to bow, the moment the Sun King's shadow began to fade, and the birth of a new power destined to shape the modern age. One field, one commander, one promise kept. The Battle of Blenheim, the day the impossible was done.